Hello and welcome to Where You Not Entertained. I'm Daniel.
I'm Rachel.
And I'm James.
And we are once again continuing our Oscar Best Picture coverage.
We're getting close.
We are. This time with Promising Young Woman.
Yes.
Which, interestingly enough, I'm going to go ahead and jump into it. But interestingly enough, this didn't really feel like an Oscar movie to me.
We're going to say spoiler alerts right up front for this bad boy.
Yes.
Yeah. I agree. No, I think that the topic and the way they handled it is Oscar worthy to me.
Yeah.
But the way that it's produced and the way that it was shot and kind of the style of movies did not scream Best Picture Oscar, at least. It screamed Oscar movie to me in a lot of other ways, but I don't know about Best Picture normally. They did a damn good job, so it kind of is one of those what I would qualify as an outlier, and I wouldn't be surprised if it wins.
Yeah, I definitely also want to add, because I think that you feel the same, James, as Daniel does, but the reason it doesn't feel very Oscar-y is because it's very entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's
in a very fun way. So when we say it's not what we would consider a typical Oscar movie, it's not because it's bad or anything like that. It is still incredibly well acted and the writing is stunning, but it's fun.
Yeah, it's not boring. It's not drab. It's not...
Right. It can be a little bit slow and it does deal with a really heavy topic, but it's definitely more of a casual watch.
It kind of reminds me of A Simple Favor, somewhat.
Yeah, I could see that.
Like in how it's shot and the... I don't know. Yeah, it seems more like a popular movie than an Oscar nom movie.
Yeah, I think it's the way that it handles the subject matter, and it's also the twist at the end. That kind of elevates it to a new level, and I respect the hell out of it, but man, was it unsatisfying.
Yeah, definitely not the ending I wanted.
I think this is a very smart movie that had me walk away with a lot of things going through my head about this, the way that it approached it.
Yeah.
And just so we're not beating around the bush, in case you haven't seen this movie, it deals with sexual assault and the effects of sexual assault on people's minds and the way that society has an issue with continually covering it up and pushing the women to the side.
And so here's one of the things that I found very interesting about this movie and the take on it is that it's not even her sexual assault.
Right.
Like it didn't happen to her. It happened to her best friend.
Yes.
Well, at least the incident that we're referring to that
the sexual assault
causes everything. Yeah.
The root cause of it. Yes. And it also, I appreciate so much that this movie doesn't just deal with the person responsible for the assault. It deals with everybody who just let it happen or pretended it wasn't real or
even in the beginning, just the guys that are predatory, like the guys that that committed the original sin, we'll call it, right?
Yeah. And I definitely appreciate the writing. Because if you really think about the way that all of the guys that she went home with, as soon as she turned out to be sober, they got angry at her.
Mm-hmm.
No, they got scared first.
Well, yes, they got scared, but they acted like they had been victimized.
Right.
You tricked me. You made this not fun.
And they did it with actors that I love from other movies and are just enjoyable, or other shows as well, like Adam Brody, loved him in the Boys.
Yeah,
you had McLovin in there.
Yeah.
And then also Sam Richardson.
Yes.
He has my favorite line, by the way.
Which line?
When he walks away, I think if I remember it correctly, he was like, "Y'all just have to ruin everything."
Yeah.
Yes.
And then he takes off running.
I laughed so hard at that. Yeah. Oh man.
Yes, that was funny.
Yeah. And I just appreciate how much that sort of makes you think, because even that line, which is so funny, of you guys have to ruin everything, the thought of a woman,
it's so dark,
wanting to cut your balls off if you try to assault her is just like, you're missing the point of you don't make this fun.
Right.
You shouldn't be doing what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. It's the end, man. I think the end makes it a better movie, but it makes me like it so much less.
I still really liked it. While it's not the ending I personally would have chosen, I still thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, I think it's the right choice for the story. I think it fits better. I think that it makes more sense. It's more realistic. It just, man, is it a bummer.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, like, the movie's not really supposed to be all fun and games. It's, a lot of it's a bummer. But it just made me feel bad.
It's what you chose.
Well,
which is part of the point. I get that.
Because Al Monroe's life still got incredibly ruined.
Yeah, but I wanted to see her kill everybody.
It would not have been an Oscar movie.
Wasn't that kind of movie?
If she had gone crazy and killed everybody.
That's honestly what I sort of expected, because when I went into this movie, a lot of what I'd seen had been less than positive reviews, which I think has to do with where they were coming from. It was more a perspective of, this is a movie about a woman luring people in by lying to them and trapping them. And if you watch the movie, that's not the point.
Wow, that you saw people feel that way about this movie?
I mean, it's the same people that feel like Jessica Chastain couldn't knock someone out,
Fair.
It's that kind of person. But so going into it, I was a little curious if she was, like slashing people.
Yeah.
And that's what you were reacting to, is that she like lures them in and then murders them? Because, okay, maybe that's a little cold, but no. And no, she's just terrifying them.
She doesn't use violence against a single person.
No. When she plans to at one point.
Well, see, I guess she didn't hurt the guy, but she did use violence to assault a pickup truck.
Yes.
Fair enough. She never actually hurt an individual until she was planning to at the very end. But
yeah,
never caused bodily harm to any of them.
She wasn't planning to at the very end.
She was planning on cutting her name into.
Nope.
No?
I highly doubt it.
What'd you think? She was just going to scare him?
I think that what happened to her is what she intended to happen. Maybe not that exact method, but I'm pretty sure that that's what she had in mind.
Oh, I think she definitely knew that was a possibility, and that's why she had her contingency plan laid out so well. But I mean, I don't know. I don't think that was her necessarily her end goal. I think that she would be more than happy to have been able to write her friend's name with a scalpel all over him.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think she took broken cuffs so that he could break out and kill her.
No, she didn't tighten the cuff.
But she did. Remember, she tightened it, and he was like, "Oh God, that's too tight. Can you loosen it?" And she specifically said, "You'll get used to it." And that was the same cuff that he broke out of.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that it is so ambiguous, though.
Yeah.
That you don't know whether that was her intention or she was just going to hurt him and leave.
Yeah.
She was definitely too sharp not to have a contingency plan, though.
Oh, God, man.
But
I love the way she was played.
That's the thing, though, is that she didn't have contingency plans for any of the other things that she did. She made her plan, and that's what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She didn't have a contingency plan if her friend was like, oh, man, I'm too drunk. Actually, I'm just going to go ahead and get up and call a cab before I'm totally shit-faced.
I mean, one argument against that would be she put the keys on her back tire, assuming she might be coming back to the car.
Yeah, but she did dispose of her license plate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She chucked her license plate in the woods, homie.
Well, I mean, when you chuck the keys with it.
For it. I don't know why she did that. But
anyway, it's ambiguous. Who cares?
It is ambiguous.
Yeah. Anyways. No, I have not typically been the biggest Carey Mulligan fan. And
really?
This 100% sold me. She was amazing in this movie. I was blown away by her performance.
Yeah, it was very, very, very worthy of any kind of praise that it gets.
Yeah, well, and I kind of expected it to be maybe higher rated. I guess with it being an Oscar, that's normally Oscar nominated films. Usually fan score or Metascore, either way, one's going to be pretty high, but this is 72 Metascore, and it's a 7.5 on IMDb.
Surprisingly middle of the road for Best Picture and Best Actress.
Yeah, exactly. So
I think that it deserves much more than a 70% from critics or fans, one of the two. I think that it is a better movie than that.
Yeah, I agree. But I think it was very smart. I think it approached the subject matter that's, it can be very easy to take on face value. And I think that, in looking at some of the reviews, that's what a lot of people have done with the whole, it's just a Me Too movement or Me Too movie or whatever.
I didn't feel like that at all. Like, I thought about that in the movie just because of the times that we live in. And I did not really feel like it was necessarily a direct
connection
between that.
And even if it was dealing with something that's very real and in a very real way.
Mm-hmm.
This wasn't, a person in a position of power rubbing your shoulders to make you uncomfortable, or things that people tend to get really sensitive about. The whole, I'm just giving you a compliment. That's nice. This was what happens at college parties.
Right.
And what can happen at college parties.
Yes. Sorry. Not all college parties. What can happen, and we've seen happen pretty frequently in the current time, but it didn't deal with it. To me, it didn't deal with it in that sort of a way, because she's not exactly a victim. She's very proactive.
Yeah, I didn't see it as, like I said, I think it was done very intelligently, and I think it approached things in a unique manner. The people that are like, oh, it's just a Me Too movement, I don't see it that way either. I think maybe that's a very shallow view of the movie as a whole. I think that once you maybe put the pieces together and you figure out that that's kind of a driver, that's her motivation in the beginning of this, that might be like your first conclusion that you jump to, and you're like, oh, I'm just watching a movie. But if that's your take, then you probably should maybe read more, or go get some education, something that'll help you think. Watch
it a second time with an open mind.
Not even the open mind. you have to think beyond the first thing you see.
And that's something that we've also seen with movies a little bit, right? When something is smarter and it requires you to think about it, those tend to be just a little bit lower rated on the fan scores.
Right.
Because that's what happened with Cutthroat City.
Yeah.
Right? I thought that was a brilliant movie, but it was very smart. You had to really pay attention. And this is the same thing. And I'll say the girl perspective thing of, normally whenever you have a very smart, very strong woman in the lead, it's not always going to be a fan favorite.
Unfortunately, you're not wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a fair statement.
Especially a powerful woman. Yeah.
Yeah, and she was. Oh my goodness. She's
badass. I love her. Yeah, she was cool. Cassandra was a great character.
She was so funny, so like dry and witty and so cold and calculated. I loved her, and I also really loved her boss at the coffee shop.
Yeah.
I can't remember her name, but she's played by Laverne Cox. And their chemistry together was awesome.
Oh, yeah. They were great.
They were so funny. And for me, a lot of the visuals, the sets, the costuming, and even her interactions, Cassandra's interactions with Bo Burnham, Ryan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what sort of made it feel more like a popular movie rather than an Oscar movie.
Yeah, it had that kind of rom-com feel to it through the second act.
Yeah, and they were just a little more vivid and playful with the look of things and even the dialogue.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was just very funny and snappy.
Yeah. No, it definitely has some dark comedy undertones to it.
Yes. Well, yeah, that was some of my favorite lines that came out of this were Ryan and Cassandra's incredibly weird interaction together. It was so great.
Yeah.
I really liked it. The writing was really good.
Yeah, I know. I totally agree. It was like you said, it was an entertaining movie to watch. It was actually fun to watch it.
Yeah.
I wasn't bored at all.
I was constantly wanting to know what happens next. Yep. And every time they drop one of those big gold Roman numerals on the screen, I was like, oh,
yeah,
something's about to go down.
Yeah, she's taking somebody else down now.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
What evil genius plan has she got in mind now?
She did. Oh my gosh, the way she lured that teenager into her car.
Oh God, that was gross. Yeah, it was gross how well it worked.
It was awesome. She's very pretty, but very dumb.
Right.
Where brains ever gotten a girl. That was great.
Yeah, no, there's great lines in this. For sure.
Well, you guys ready to get to favorite scenes? Did you have something else you wanted to cover?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Scenes. Well, I'm going to jump out there and go favorite scenes first because I do that so rarely.
Do it.
All right.
My favorite scene was with the counselor.
Uh-huh.
A dean, assistant dean, something like that.
The dean.
Yeah, Dean Walker.
Yeah.
That scene kind of sums up what I feel like the entire movie was about in a nutshell. And you know me, that's how I like to do things when it comes to favorite scenes.
Yeah.
Plus the level of tension and the kind of disgust that you start to feel for Cassandra, for her dropping off that young, impressionable girl at a college dorm room who, by all accounts of the movie, did pretty horrible things to her friend.
Right.
And putting the dean in that kind of position to defend him until it turns out to be her daughter. And then suddenly, maybe it wasn't quite so okay. Then it turns out that she didn't ever end up dropping her off at the dorm room either. She was sitting in some diner, totally safe, because Cassandra's not a monster.
Yeah.
And just, I don't know. I love the way that it played it, because up until that point, you still had a little bit of ambiguity as to whether, like, did she ever hurt any of the guys that she had gone home with and was like tricking? You know, did she end up, you know, letting McLovin go for admitting he was an asshole? Whereas other guys, she did not let go. Like there was a lot of questions in how far things went. And at that point in time, I also don't think you knew that, what was Alison Brie's character? Madison?
Yes.
You didn't know at that point whether or not anything had happened to Madison after Cassandra had gotten her drunk.
Yeah.
And so there was still that kind of, how evil is she? And this was when I started to realize, oh my God, she's just playing everyone like a fiddle.
Mm-hmm.
And it was such mastery. You truly start to understand the intelligence and forethought that Cassandra has. And it really kind of puts a verbal emphasis on the way that so often these situations are treated.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like that she kept telling the dean, well, it's the same room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because I think the dean was finally like, oh, God, I didn't pay any attention.
Right.
Uh-huh.
I need to pay more attention.
Right.
I don't know the names. I don't know the room.
Anything.
I don't know anything.
Yeah, because it happens twice a week. How am I supposed to keep up with all of that? Oh,
yeah.
That's probably the problem.
And the line of, it just had to be somebody you loved.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. No, that was a great scene.
Yeah. Good choice.
That was mine. Well, thank you.
It was good.
Yeah, excellent choice.
Well, what about you, Daniel? What was your favorite scene?
I think mine was the dinner with her parents when she brought over Ryan.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
So painful.
Yeah,
it was super awkward.
It was awesome. It was very awkward, but it's also like you can tell from the rest of the movie that her parents are just kind of, they're sad that she's sad, that kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they're one of the only 4 characters in the entire movie that are truly good.
Right. When are you gonna get back to being yourself, kind of thing? And even though her parents are very awkward, quirky kind of people,
that house.
That house.
Yeah. Oh man, jeez, the house was just painful to look at. But it's kind of their first glimpse of her returning to normality. Because that's what was happening at the time. Unfortunately, I knew that the other shoe was going to drop eventually.
You can't be happy in the second act.
Yeah. I had a funny feeling what it was going to be.
Not be nominated for an Oscar.
Right.
No, yes. Not allowed.
It's a long epilogue.
But also like the kind of comedy of it and how Ryan approaches kind of her parents' awkwardness and the uncomfortable things that they mentioned, that he's just like, oh, my parents wanted me to, I forget what he said,
be a DJ.
Yeah. Oh no, they were really disappointed. They wanted me to be a DJ.
That was very funny.
Yeah. So I just enjoyed that whole setup there.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
That is a really good one, yeah.
It's also one of the most heartfelt moments of this entire movie, when her father's talking to her after the dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that they miss Nina, but they really miss her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I love Clancy Brown.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Well, that was a good choice as well. Very good scene.
Yeah, that was a great choice.
And then last but not least, what about you, Rachel?
Oh, man. Yeah, mine was kind of going to be the Dean as well, but fortunately,
it's a good scene.
There's a ton of great scenes to choose from in this movie. So I'm sorry, there's 3 that I can think of that I'm like, which one? So I'm going to go with the scene at the very end at the wedding.
At the wedding.
Yes.
As the texts roll in.
As the texts roll in, and it's obviously at this point you can kind of see everybody's true colors. You know that Al and his friend, whoever it was that filmed the original assault, you know that those 2 guys are hopeless, lost people. And at that point, you already know that Ryan isn't necessarily a terrible guy, but he's an I don't get it guy. And to see how he's already tried to cover his footsteps, and then we get to the wedding and he starts getting those texts. And just the look on his face as the first scheduled message comes in.
Right.
It's like, oh no. And then the cops show up and it just goes so downhill from there. And in a way, I think
it's going south fast.
I really preferred watching the cops drag him out of his own wedding.
That was wonderful.
That had been so important to him to kill someone to make sure that this wedding went off without a hitch, and to burn her body, which was so cold. And then, watch him get dragged out by the cops was just awesome. It was a great finish because it's a good chance nothing would have happened to him. She could have cut the name into his stomach, but that doesn't necessarily impact his life for everyone.
Right.
Going to jail for murder, that pretty much ruins everything.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, it does.
So I'm going to go with that.
It's a very good one as well.
It's a good choice. Again, that's kind of when you see the dark comedy moments of this poke their heads out.
Yes.
Which
especially
really
the music
enjoyed.
choice.
The music in
was
this
so
is
good.
awesome.
It is.
Yeah. I'm a
All
fan.
right, well then I think that about wraps it up for Promising Young Woman, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, hopefully you enjoyed our coverage of the movie as well. We're getting close to the end of the Oscar season, so stay tuned for the last couple. If you did like what you hear, please go online and like and subscribe, and make sure to join us next time on Were You Not Entertained?